Hello and welcome everybody to lesson one of IELTS Essay Masterclass. You're all very, very welcome. My name is Chris Pell and I'll be taking you through these 3 days of the IELTS Essay Masterclass. This is a live lesson. I'm talking to you live from my house here. So I'm just going to first of all check that everything is working okay. If you could let me know in the comments that you can hear me, that you can see me, that everything is working okay, and then we can start the lesson. Let me just double check with my team that everything is working okay, and then we can begin. So we don't have any complaints so far. So that probably means that it's working okay. All clear. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Tina. Okay, guys. So I'm probably looking. I need to look at the camera. So let me know where you guys are watching from. I see some people from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. Where else? Saudi Arabia, UAE. I was there last week. I was in Dubai last week. Where else? The Philippines, Bangladesh again, Iran, India, Hungary, Philippines, Indonesia, Myanmar, South Africa, London. You're not far away from me. I'm not. Sri Lanka, Somalia, Greece, Jordan, Uzbekistan, Vietnam, Xing Chao, Vietnam. Excellent. Wow, well, there's 4,000 people watching this. All right, guys. So you've been waiting long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight in to the lesson. What I will do is I will teach you first, and then if you have any questions, I will do like a Q&A session, a question and answer session at the end. So if you have any questions, just write them down and then ask them at the end, and I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. If you have any technical problems or any questions related to the course, two of my team members, Sophia and Tina, if you see Sophia or you see Tina, they're in the chat and they can answer any questions. But with 4,400 people, they might find it difficult to answer every single question, but I'll try and answer questions at the end. This session should take about 1 hour, and then we'll have questions at the end, and I will give you a homework task at the end, and then you can get feedback in tomorrow's lesson. So make sure that you watch everything. All right, so let me just share my screen with you, and then we can get going. Okay, so can you let me know that you can see the screen? It should say IELTS Essay Masterclass, Lesson 1, and then we can get going. So Tina and Sophia, can you let me know that you can see the screen, and then we can get going? Wow, more than 5,000 people. That's crazy. All right. So let's talk about my goal this week for you guys. So we're going to teach you our simple writing system. And once our VIP students learn this system, they improve their score by an average of 1.59 bands. That's what the data shows. So we're going to teach you a lot of the things that we teach on our VIP course, and we're going to give that to you for free. And we're going to teach you in a very unique way that improves scores. The things that I will teach you today and tomorrow on Thursday, you won't find them anywhere else in the world. You won't find them even on our YouTube channel or any books. It is a complete unique, different way of improving your writing, and it does work. And we're also going to be 100% honest with you. This is going to be quite different from what most of you are used to. I am from Ireland. We're known for being very straightforward, straight to the point, and honest. We're just going to tell you exactly what score you're going to get, give you honest feedback on your writing, and also just tell you exactly what works and what doesn't. So who is this session for? If you have failed the test, but you don't know why, this session is really going to help you. Throughout the 3 days, if you see something that is unusual or you haven't seen before, or you're like, that's different, haven't seen that way of doing it, write that down, because that's probably the reason why you failed and you don't know why. Or if you don't have access to good teachers, some of you come from parts of the world where you don't have access in your local area to great IELTS teachers. Some of you just can't afford the best IELTS teachers in the world. So we're going to help you as much as we can for free this week. Or you're frustrated with all the confusing information out there. So there's so much free information about the IELTS test. Some of it is reliable, some of it is not. What we're going to do for you this week is just cut through all the nonsense so that you can understand exactly what to do. Or if you just want a better life in a new country, that's why we're all here. We want to have the freedom to choose where we live, the job we do, and that's what we're going to do for you this week. So, does this stuff actually work? Can we actually help you? Before you listen to anybody about IELTS, especially me, you should get them to prove to you that what they are working on, what they're helping you with actually works. Some of you in the comments are saying the screen is blurry and things like that. It's because of your internet connection. It's not because of us. If the screen is not clear, try and switch to a internet connection that is faster, and you'll be fine. All right. So there is no one best way to write an essay. You'll see a lot of things online about this is the only way, or this is the band 9 way, or this is the secret way. There are many, many, many different ways to write an essay. And there's many different ways to write a good essay. I'm not going to say that I'm the best IELTS teacher in the world. That is impossible to prove. But what we can prove, what is actually true, is IELTS Advantage in this system. We have more band 7, 8, and 9 success stories than any other IELTS course or school or YouTube channel in the entire world. And that's something that we can prove. You can just go onto our website, count the number of band 7, 8, and 9 success story videos. There's more of those than anyone else in the world. So the reason why I'm telling you this is so that you can actually trust what we're going to teach you this week. And why are we helping you for free? Why am I giving you 3 or 4 days of my time? Well, it's really related to my family. So this is my wife, this is my firstborn son, and this is our latest son, William. That's him when he was inside his mummy's tummy. And I'm going to now tell you a story about why I'm helping you. And I want you to listen to the story and try and remember the story, because we're going to use this story to teach you about how to write an essay. It might sound weird, but it'll make sense in a second. So, the day my life changed. So, this is my son, Tom. This is him in Spain recently. But my wife told me we were going to have our first son, and that's the day my life changed. My life changed from looking after myself to looking after him. If any of you have had children, that's normally the reaction that you have. And when Tom was born, I was working for the British Council. That's him in one of the classrooms at the British Council. And after Tom was born, I was promoted. I had a very, very good job working for the British Council. I was creating their IELTS writing materials and things like that. And life was good, but then we took a trip. So we were living in Vietnam. My wife is from Vietnam, and we took a trip, and that changed things again. So we returned to my hometown. So this is my hometown. This is where I'm speaking to you from. This is my front garden. But we returned from Vietnam to my hometown, and I seen that my little boy could, play in the fields. He's surrounded by nature, surrounded by this beautiful place. And it really made me think about where I wanted to live. So, because of my wife's visa situation, my wife's Vietnamese, I'm from Northern Ireland. Like many of you, we couldn't just decide where to move because of Wynn's IELTS score and visa situations. So Tom had to return, and this is him in in our apartment in Vietnam. And I was thinking back to when he could run around in the front garden in Ireland, and now he's stuck in an apartment. So my son was stuck in a tiny apartment, breathing polluted air. I'm not criticizing Vietnam in any way, but it's just the reality of living in a big city like many of you do. And he was about to start school, but the expensive schools in Vietnam were worse than the free schools here in Ireland. Here in Ireland, we have one of the best education systems in the world, and it's all free. In many developing countries, if you want the best education, you have to pay sort of 20, 25, $30,000 a year. It's crazy. So we decided to move back to Vietnam to give Tom the best life possible, but it was impossible to move back because of visa situations and IELTS scores. So we entered what we call the visa nightmare. To get back home, to move my family back home to Ireland, we had to provide hundreds of documents. We had to provide our marriage photos, bank statements, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of documents. It was a complete nightmare. So for 5 years, we had to prove to the government that we belonged in my own country. So it took about 5 years before Wynne got her passport. And that the lack of freedom over our own lives made us feel like giving up. We nearly gave up many, many times because of just that lack of freedom. But after 5 years, Wynne and I, we got our visa. This is Tom, this is William, and Tom's school is right here. This is the beach and the mountains. Tom's school is right here. So why are we helping you? Why am I giving you my time for free? Well, this is Tom on his first day of his new school in Ireland. We believe, or I believe, and the team at IELTS Advantage, everyone should have the freedom to choose where they live, what school their children go to, and the job that they do. IELTS test should not hold you back. This is why I will be 100% honest with you, even if that sounds very harsh, because I understand how important this is to you. So I'm not going to tell you just follow these 3 quick tips and you're magically going to get the score that you need. I'm not going to do that because I know how serious this is for, nearly 7,000 people watching this right now. So before we get into the actual content, and try to remember that story because I'm going to come back to it and it's going to show you a little bit about essay structure and how you actually write an essay. Right. So we're going to give you lots of free gifts and replays and all of those different things, but only those who complete the course will get the free gifts. So it's a 3-day course. You have to complete the whole thing to get the free gifts. Bonus gifts will only be given to those that attend live. So there's 6,968. You've attended lesson 1 live. If you attend lesson 2 and lesson 3 live, you will also get even more gifts. A lot of you have been asking about replays. Replays will be available on YouTube, but I will delete everything after 48 hours. Now, is that because I'm a horrible human being? Is that because, I'm mean and I don't like you? No. If I put a deadline, a 48-hour deadline, you guys are going to actually do the work. And that's what I want. I want you to do the work, get the score that you need. And that's why I'm putting the deadline on it. But it's only an hour a day so that you can move to a new country and have a better life. So it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. Okay. So what are we actually going to do this week? So today, Tuesday, we're going to focus on the first part of our essay, the first building block. We're going to show you how to write an introduction, not just introductions. We're going to show you a few other things today. Then at the end of this session, we're going to give you a homework task. And then tomorrow we'll give you feedback. The homework task and the feedback is probably the most important part because you're going to actually do the things that we're teaching you. one of the downsides of learning online is you learn a lot, you absorb a lot of information, but you don't do a lot. And we're going to get you to actually do things this week because that's what we want to do and help you improve. Then tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m., main body paragraphs, homework, task, and feedback. Then finally on Thursday, we're going to finish off our essay and we're going to write our conclusion, but we're not going to just do conclusions. We're also going to work on time management, on vocabulary, on grammar, lots of good things. And then we'll give you your homework task and your feedback. And then on Friday, we have a very, very special surprise, but I'll not tell you about what that is just yet. Okay, what are we going to look at today? So we're going to look at double or direct questions. We're going to look very, very importantly at what is an essay? What should you do and what should you not do? What is an introduction? What are the essential elements of an introduction? I made a typo there. See, everyone makes mistakes. And we're going to give you your homework task. Okay, so many of you already know this, but let me go through the 5 different types of question that you might get, and then we'll talk about the type of question that we're going to work on today. So on test day, you might get an opinion question. So it's asking you, do you agree or disagree? A discussion question, where they're asking you about discuss both views and give your opinion. You might get a causes and solutions or a problem and solutions question, asking you what the causes, the problems, the solutions are. Or you might get an advantages and disadvantages question. The question that we're going to work on today is what we call a double question. A double question is basically 2 questions, 2 direct questions in one task. And the reason why we're doing this is because it really helps to, if you understand double questions, you can apply it to many of the other types. And they're also becoming more and more popular on the test. So double questions are normally 2 questions in one task, and both are direct questions. What does this mean? So here's an example of a double question. Many working people get little or no exercise either during the working day or in their free time and have health problems as a result. Why do many working people not get enough exercise? And what can be done about this problem? So double or direct questions always look like this. You get a question statement here, and then you get 2 direct questions. Why is this? What can be done to solve this? All right. So the question statement and then 2 direct questions. This is what we're going to focus on today. So I'm now going to start teaching you in a way that you probably haven't seen before. So if you start to see things and it's different from what you believe about essays, or it's different from what other teachers are teaching you, that's a good thing because this stuff actually works. So many of you are writing essays, but you don't really know what an essay is. Before we show you what an essay is, let's talk about what an essay is not. An essay is not a chance for you to show off how great your writing is. It is not for you to show off how great your writing is. It is not a chance for you to show off how amazing your vocabulary and grammar are. It is not about showing off vocabulary and grammar. An essay is also just not lots of ideas about a topic. It is not you, vomiting ideas onto a page. But most students do these things. So if you're giving the examiners what they're not looking for, are you going to get a high score? What is an actual essay? An attempt to establish objective truth about a given topic. To keep that very simple, also known as answer the question. It is also your reasoned argument about a given topic, also known as developing your ideas. Essay writing is a skill, And just like any other skill, you need to improve it if you're going to get a high score. And remember, I told you I was going to be honest with you. Most of you have little or no experience with this skill. Like any skill, it can be learned and improved. So, like, I know a lot about writing, but I don't know anything about cricket. I don't know anything about cooking. Those are skills. If I did a test on cooking or a test on cricket, I would fail. Most of you, to be honest, think about how much time you have actually spent in your life writing essays. Not much time at all. So, how are you going to get a band seven, a band eight, a band nine if you don't have much experience with this skill? But that's what we're going to change this week. And really understanding what an essay is not and what an essay is, this is the most important thing, or one of the most important things. If you go and look at our success stories, like this student who got a band 8 in writing, this student who got a band 8.5 in writing, this student who got 5.5 or went from 5.5 to 7 in writing, and this student who went from 6.5 to 7 in writing. We didn't really change anything about their vocabulary or their grammar or their structures. What we did with these students was we just taught them, this is what an essay is not. Stop doing these things. This is what an essay is. Start doing these things. And their writing dramatically changed and their score dramatically changed. So we talked about an essay being a reasoned argument. What is a reasoned argument? So Argentina are the best football team in the world. Is this a reasonable thing to say? In the comments, just write yes or no. Do you agree with this? Is this a reasonable thing to say? Argentina are the best football team in the world. Yes or no? What if I said this instead? Argentina are the best football team in the world because they won the most World Cups. Is that more reasonable or is that less reasonable? Just write more or less in the comments. Now let's take it further. Argentina are the best football team in the world because I believe they have the most experienced squad. They also have Messi, who many people believe is the greatest footballer to ever live. Is this more reasonable or less reasonable? Now, notice that I didn't ask you, do you agree with me? I didn't ask you, is this correct or not? Because on test day, the examiner doesn't care if they agree with you, and the examiner doesn't care if you are correct or not. It is not a knowledge test. But who would get the highest score? 1, 2, or 3? Probably 3, not because they are correct, but because they are being more reasonable. Don't worry if you don't understand what that means just yet. We're going to explain it even more. So, what are the ingredients of a reasoned argument? First of all, you have to state your viewpoint. This is what I think. This is my main idea. This is what I believe. Then your reasoning. So, your reasoning is just a different way of saying your explanation. So, you're explaining your viewpoint. And then your evidence, also known as an example. So many students or many teachers will teach you, you need a main idea, then you need an explanation, then you need an example. But if you slightly change that to, what do I think? What is my reasoning? And what is my evidence? Then it completely changes the way you think and it completely changes the way that you write. Because if you think about it, what is writing? Writing is just your thinking on paper. So it is taking the stuff in your brain and it is writing it down on a piece of paper. So the more clearly that you think, the more clear your essay is going to be. Okay, be back with that. Yep. So you might be thinking, what has this got to do with my English level? What has this got to do with my IELTS level? Well, this is like asking why you have to do exercise when testing your fitness levels. So if you go to the gym for the first time, let's say you join a new gym, often they will offer you a free fitness test. What do they get you to do to test your fitness? They get you to run, do press ups, do sit ups, do different exercises. To test your English level during the writing test, what they are doing is they're seeing if you can do these things. If you can do these things, you are showing them that you have very high fitness levels, that you have very high English levels. So again, it's not about really improving your writing. It is about completely changing your thinking, your idea, your mindset about writing. And this is one of the most important things. If you only listen to one thing, listen to this. IELTS is not an English test. It is a communication test. IELTS is not an English test. It is a communication test. If you just focus on improving your communication with the examiner, like literally sitting down and writing clearly with the examiner, then you are going to massively improve your score. And that's a lot of what we're going to teach you in this session. So, reasoned argument. Let's have a read of this question and let's think about the question a little bit. Many working people get little or no exercise either during the working day or in their free time and have health problems as a result. Why do many working people not get enough exercise? What can be done about this problem? Let's talk about structure quite briefly. Not going to go too much into detail about this, but the structure that we use for double questions that we give our VIP students is very simple. Introduction, main body paragraph 1. What do we do in that main body paragraph? We answer the first question. Main body paragraph 2, we answer the second question. And then we write our conclusion. So today, we're going to focus on this bit. Tomorrow, we're going to focus on this. And then on Thursday, we're focusing on this. But they're all related. All right. They're all related because basically what this is just your thinking put on paper in a structured way. So what does a structure allow you to do? Introduction. Here's what I'm going to argue. Here's what my main ideas are. Main body paragraph 1, MBP, main body paragraph. Here is my first reasoned argument. Here is my reasoning about my first idea. Here is my second reasoned argument. Second main idea. And then in your conclusion, here is my point of view. Here's what I think about this question. And here are a summary of my arguments. So again, just change how you think about an essay from essays are very complicated and I'm going to fail to here's what I'm going to argue. Here's my reasoning. Here's a summary of my reasoning. What does an unreasonable argument look like? What do most students do? And when I say most students, the reason why I'm saying most students when I refer to bad things, the average writing score worldwide is 5.5. It's very, very low. So this is what most students do. Here's some general background information. In modern life, this topic is a very hot topic, blah, 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 blah. Then they say, here are some points without any reasoning, without any evidence. Here are some more points. They just take everything they know about that topic and they vomit it onto the page. And then in the conclusion, they just put some memorized thing that they found on YouTube the night before their exam. Here's something new, completely unrelated to the topic. This is what most essays look like. And this is why most essays or most students fail to get a high score. Sorry if you think I'm being harsh, but it's better for your score if I'm honest with you. So let's apply that structure, excuse me, to a real story. Remember the story I told you about my family's journey from Vietnam to Ireland? Here's why I think you should follow my IELTS lessons. Success based on real success stories from real students, real experience of moving to a new country, and why what I teach works because it's based on real results and I understand my students' biggest problem. When I told you that story, did you believe me? Did you think I was being reasonable? I hope so, because what I did was I stated my points, what I think, but I backed it up with explanations. I backed it up with evidence, real stories, real things that have happened. I compare that with most YouTubers. I'm going to teach you how to cheat the IELTS test. Here are some quick tips I copied from somewhere else. I'll help you get a high score, but I don't really have a high score. And I want to get big on YouTube and make easy money. So please subscribe to me. Do you believe these guys? Do you believe the guys that sound like this? Do you believe people who say things like this? No. Why do you not believe people like this? Well, the reason why is because there's no reason, there's no evidence that what they're saying is actually true. It's all just made up, you know? So again, I'm taking you out of thinking about IELTS as this really complicated thing and just simplifying it by focusing on clear communication and sounding as reasonable as possible. So now we know what an essay is and what an essay is not. Let's look at it in a little bit more detail now and focus in on the first part, which is the introduction. So we're going to introduce the argument that you are going to make. Remember, what is an essay? An essay is a reasoned argument. So not an argument like a fight, right? We're not fighting with anyone. An intellectual argument. This is what I think. This is what I believe. We're going to make it easy for the reader to understand what the topic is and what your viewpoint is. What is an introduction? We are making it easy for the reader. We're helping the reader understand what our main points are. The reasoning, the detail, the explanations, the examples then come in the main body, not the introduction. The introduction is simply to help the reader. That is all your essay is doing, helping the reader, not helping you get a good score. So look here in orange, easy for the reader, help the reader, helping the reader. Think about why we write something. Why do we write anything? Why do you write a letter? Why do I write a text message to my wife? Why do I write things for my website? I don't write them for me. I don't write an email to my wife or to you guys for me. It is for you, the reader. So you need to switch your thinking from writing so that you get a high score to writing for why do we write to help the reader. Everything that you write on the IELTS test should be designed to help the reader, help the examiner understand what you're trying to say. That's going to improve your communication, which is going to improve your score. So when writing, your job is simply to help the reader. This will result in you getting a good score. If you want to have a successful business, your job is to help your customers. If you do that, you will make money. What happens if you try and make money without helping your customers? You will go bankrupt. So a lot of you think that showing off and putting big words in your essay is going to improve your score. That is like setting up a business and not helping your customers. But if, like successful businesses, you focus on helping the recipient, the customer first, then your score will improve. So all you should do is focus on helping the reader. Then you will be successful on the test. And this is one of our success stories. This is one of the biggest jumps that we've ever had from Andrea. She went from a band 5, which is extremely low, to a band 7.5 in IELTS writing. All we did with Andrea was tell her, stop trying to get a high score and just start trying to help the reader. Imagine you are writing to someone that you care about, that you want to help understand what you're saying, and that improved her score from 5.5 to 7.5 in a very, very short period of time. So let's break down the introduction into different stages. What we like to do at IELTS Advantage is take each part of the test and break it down into the simplest building blocks to make it easy to understand. So the stages of writing an introduction, actually the first one is question analysis, thinking about the question. What does it actually mean? Because if you don't understand the question, you cannot answer the question. Then idea generation. So you only generate ideas once you understand the question. Then paraphrasing, and then outlining. So what we're going to do now is take each of these building blocks and break it down even further. All right. Something called first principles thinking. If you know what that means, congratulations. If you don't, doesn't matter. But you should read more. Question analysis. What does this actually mean? So this is the first building block. We can break it down into general topic, specific keywords, and instruction words. So when we are thinking about the question, we first need to think about what is the general topic. So we do not write about that. We do not write about everything we know about the general topic. Instead, we move on to the specific keywords within that general topic. What are the specific things they want me to do? And then the instruction words. How do they want me to actually answer this question? Do they want me to give my opinion or discuss other people's opinions or give advantages or give problems, or what do they want me to actually do? So let's apply that system, that 3-step system, to this question. What is the general topic? All right. In the chat, what is the general topic of this question? Good. Some people say exercise. No, not really. More generally than exercise. Working people, no. Science, that's maybe a little bit too wide. Health, yeah. It's all about health, all right? So it's important that we understand the general topic so that we know what not to do, Because what a lot of people do is they will see a question like this and they will just put everything they know about health and exercise and being healthy on the page. That's not what they want you to do. What do they want you to do? Let's drill a little bit deeper now and think about the specific keywords. What are the specific keywords that are important within this question? So have a look, think about it, and write it in the chat. Okay. So is it about people? No, it is about working people. So specifically, they want you to talk about people who work. They don't want you to talk about students. They don't want you to talk about children. They don't want you to talk about retired people. They don't want you to talk about unemployed people. They want you to talk about working people. And it's about both their working day and their free time. And it's about those people, those working people, and they've health problems as a result. So what we did there was we had the general topic, health, and now we've zoomed in. We've zoomed in to the specific thing that they actually want you to write about. They want you to write about working people not getting exercise, and then having health problems. So you've gone from a very vague essay that doesn't really mean anything to really being laser focused on exactly what you should be writing about. And that's going to help us think of the ideas better and write about the specific topic a lot more fluently. And then the instruction words. So I'll do this one for you. Why do many working people not get enough exercise? You must answer that question. So at the end of your essay, the examiner should be able to look at your essay and know exactly what you think about that question. Then they should know exactly what you think about that question. A good way to think about this is what I used to do with my students was I'd say, let me get a piece of paper. Make sure there's nothing embarrassing on it. So like, can you take your essay, go out onto the street of London or New York or Sydney or any English speaking city? Could you give your essay to a random English speaking person on the street, and would they understand your answer to those questions? If you cannot do that, then it's not a good essay. It should be 100% clear. That's the level you want to get to. And we'll show you exactly how to do that as well. So now that we've understood the question, what's the general topic? What do we write about? Now we need to think about ideas. The most important thing that we teach for ideas is keep it simple. The biggest problem that I see with students is not that they can't think of ideas or that they don't know enough about the topic, is they think that you get extra marks, you get a higher score for complicated ideas. You do not. The simplest, most straightforward answer is the best. Why is the simplest answer, the simplest idea, the best? Well, it's easy to think of. You're making your life easier, and it's easy to write about. Complex ideas take a very long time. They're complicated and they're difficult to write about. A good way of thinking about making an argument, remember, we are writing a reasoned argument. Everything comes back to that. If you were arguing with someone, I don't mean shouting and fighting. I mean, if you were having a reasonable argument with someone in a university, for example, in a classroom, if you were arguing with someone, what would your main point be? That is a very good way of idea generation because it makes your idea as strong as possible. Because if you are in an argument, you want to win that argument. So you're going to pick the idea that is strongest. And that's normally the simplest idea. Another way of thinking about this is, what is the most common idea? So what this does is it forces you to think of the most popular idea. The most popular idea, like if you went onto the streets of London today and asked 100 people this question, what would the most popular idea be? That would probably be the best idea. But should you brainstorm? All right. Should you be brainstorming? In the chat, how do you feel when you are brainstorming? So think about when you brainstorm ideas for task 2. How do you feel? Put it into the chat. Think about how you feel. So someone said not good, okay? Someone said bad. Stressed, stammering, overwhelmed, stressful, confused, overwhelmed, a waste of time, not confident. So nearly all negative things. So should you do something that makes you feel stressed and overwhelmed and perplexed and confused and all of these different things that you are doing? Probably not. So the problem with brainstorming is it's a waste of time and it causes stress. You should not do anything on test day that wastes your time and causes stress. Obviously, don't do things that waste your time, but the more stress that you are experiencing, the worse your performance is going to be because our brains do not operate very well when they're stressed. Also, if you're using brainstorming, most of your ideas are not specific. One of the most important things that you need to do is think of specific ideas that actually answer the question. And most of your ideas will not be relevant. Think about what brainstorming actually is. It is like free thinking. Just think of as many different things as possible. That is the opposite to what you should be doing on test day. So, should you do something that wastes your time, causes stress, and produces the opposite of what you should be doing? No. So, don't listen to people who teach you brainstorming. It doesn't work. What does actually work is something that we teach called the argument method. If you were making an argument, what would your main point be? Don't try and think of many different ideas. Just try and think of the strongest idea, or the most common idea, or the simplest idea, or the most straightforward idea. If you can't think of something, put yourself in someone else's shoes. So I often work with students who say, I don't know anything about this topic. Really? You can't imagine what it's like to have health problems? You can't imagine what it's like to work? You can't imagine what it's like to sit in an office all day? You don't have an imagination? So imagine two football supporters at the World Cup. So we recently had the World Cup last year. One person says Argentina are the best because they have Messi. Should we believe that person? What would someone from Portugal or Brazil or France say? A good idea is easy to understand. They should know exactly what your main point is without any further explanation. Relevant, answers the specific question. Unreasonable, you can use reason to prove your argument, explain and support with evidence. So it should be easy to understand. Remember, why do we write something? We write something to help the reader. It should answer the question, and it should be reasonable. If you can't think of evidence, if you can't explain that, then you shouldn't use that idea. That's why I use that football supporters thing. If you hear footballers or football supporters, do they sound reasonable? Go and look at a Facebook post saying Messi is the best footballer in the world or Ronaldo is the best footballer in the world. You'll just hear lots of unreasonable things, not backed up by evidence, not backed up by explanations. You want to be the opposite of like people in the chat now are putting like CR7 and stuff like that. That's an unreasonable idea. All right. Always write something that you can explain and think of an example. If you cannot think of that, move on. Someone's Messi is the GOAT. Okay. Thank you for proving my point. So remember, there's 3 elements to a double question introduction. Paraphrase the question statement. All right. So we're going to break it down into 3 parts. All right. So for a double question, do not use this for the other types of question. Don't use this for opinion questions. Don't use this for advantages and disadvantages or discussion questions. This is just for double questions. Okay. Paraphrase the question statement. Outline your view on the first question. What is your viewpoint? What is your argument? And outline your view on the second question. Okay, so this is for double questions. Paraphrase, we're going to show you how to do that in a second. Outline, don't go into detail, your view on the first question. and outline your view on the second question. Okay, so let's break it down even further. What is paraphrasing? How do we do that? So, paraphrasing basically means state the same ideas but using different words. How would you say it in your own words? Not your own language, in your own words in English. And we can do this by using synonyms. And we'll talk about what synonyms are and what they're not in a second. And we can do this by changing the structure of the sentence. We'll show you how to do that. Or we can do both. We'll show you how to do that as well. So before we go into how to paraphrase, at IELTS Advantage, what we always do is show you what not to do and then show you what to do. All right. Here's what not to do when you're paraphrasing. A lot of people think that paraphrasing means that you change every single word. That is not what paraphrasing is, and that is impossible to do for most students. So don't do impossible things. Changing words incorrectly. This is often when students try and use synonyms and they do that incorrectly. We'll show you how to avoid that. And also not thinking about grammar. A lot of students will change the structure and not think about, have I produced a correct sentence or not? So, synonyms. Be very careful here. Your synonyms must match and make sense. Just because they are synonyms does not mean you can automatically use them. So, what a lot of you learn is that to paraphrase, all you do is just pick a synonym and change the word, and then that means that you paraphrased it. That is not correct. So, for example, rich and decadent are synonyms. Country and kingdom are synonyms. But could you change rich country to decadent kingdom? Would it mean the same thing? Would it be appropriate? No. So I live in Ireland. Ireland is a rich country, but it is not a decadent kingdom. All right, just isn't. But decadent and kingdom are synonyms. So why don't we just use them? Because the synonyms need to be accurate. So rich and wealthy are synonyms and they mean the same thing. Country and nation are synonyms and they mean the same thing. Rich and decadent don't really mean the same thing. Country and kingdom don't technically mean the same thing. So you need to be very careful with which synonyms that you use. Because if you just go and look up what synonyms are, for example, wealthy, some of these are correct and some of them are incorrect. They're what's called close synonyms and loose synonyms. So wealthy and rich are close synonyms because they mean the same thing. Wealthy and opulent are synonyms, but they're very loose synonyms. They don't really mean the same thing. And how do you know? Well, you look it up in a dictionary. If you don't know the meaning of the words, don't use them because they're probably incorrect. So let's test you a little bit. What is a synonym of the word refugee? Refugee. Put it in the comments what you think a synonym is of refugee. So, working people, no, refugee does not mean that. Immigrant, I've immigrated to countries. I've been an immigrant. I've never been a refugee. Asylum, displaced, possibly. A lot of you are saying immigrant. No, immigrants don't necessarily mean refugees. Asylum seekers, maybe. Migrant. Well, I've migrated. I've been a migrant many times in my life. I've never been a refugee. Homeless? No, there are homeless people in my local town. They're not refugees. Victim? No, a lot of you are victims. You're not refugees. Homeless? No. So most of you are wrong. 80 or 90% of you are wrong. Fugitive? No. There are fugitives in this country right now. They're not refugees. So the reason why I asked you that is most people, 90% of you, are completely wrong about a one word that I actually asked you to think about. On test day, you'll be writing around 300 words. Do you think that most of them will be accurate if you're giving answers like that? So here are some close synonyms. You could say displaced person, you could say asylum seeker. Those are close synonyms. But fugitive and refugee don't mean the same thing. Runaway doesn't mean the same thing. Outcast, alien, immigrant, foreigner. None of these are accurate and appropriate synonyms to use for refugee. So we can also change the structure of the sentence to help us paraphrase it. Be very careful that your new sentence makes sense grammatically. So, for example, let's say we got this question. Many developed nations have opened their doors to refugees recently. So if we changed it to recently refugees go to developed nations who open their doors, this first sentence, they've changed the structure, but it's grammatically wrong. But this second sentence, recently refugees have been taken in by many developed nations, grammatically, that is actually correct. So you need to be very careful with changing the structure and think about if you are actually paraphrasing and using grammar correctly. But what we can do is we can use synonyms and change the structure at the same time, and that helps us paraphrase effectively. So you can combine these two techniques to paraphrase effectively. So here's the question. Many developed nations have opened their doors to refugees recently. In recent years, refugees have been taken in by many countries in the developed world. So I've highlighted the word refugees there. Why have I done that? Well, this is not me. This is from a real student. This is a VIP student that I asked to complete this sentence. And when I asked her, why did you not change the word refugees? She said, well, I wasn't sure. I thought it might be immigrant. I thought it might be asylum seeker, but I don't know. So what she did, she repeated the word. So if you have a choice between repeating the word and using something incorrectly, like 80, 90% of you did 5 minutes ago, just repeat the word. And also, I've highlighted the collocation here, developed world. Developed nations, developed world. They've repeated the word developed, but they've changed developed nations to the developed world. That collocation is seen as one single unit by the examiner. So that is actually demonstrating that they've done a very good job and they know collocations and their vocabulary is very good. So let's look at some more samples that I asked. I asked some of our VIP students to do this. As a consequence of getting minimal exercise, either while at work or when they are off, employed people suffer from health issues. So here is the question in black. Here in orange, that is the student's paraphrase sentence. So what have they done here? Well, they've changed the structure and they've used synonyms. Here's a different student answering the same question. Workers who do not work out as much as they should, and workers do not work out as much as they should, and this causes health complications. So two very, very different sentences, but both are good. Because why? They are accurate, they are appropriate, they mean the same thing as this sentence in black. There are no vocabulary errors, there are no grammar errors, but it's simple. You shouldn't try and throw in a bunch of words that don't mean anything, that are not accurate. All you should do is use some synonyms, change the structure, make sure that it's grammatically correct, the vocabulary is correct, and if you're unsure, simplify it. So that's the first part of your introduction, paraphrasing. The second part of your introduction should be briefly answer each question. So here's the question. Why do many working people not get enough exercise? Whenever I asked my VIP students, I was doing a live lesson with them. Whenever I asked them this question, the most popular idea amongst them was lack of time. Not the most complicated answer, not the most high level answer, the most popular answer, the easiest answer. What can be done about this problem? There are many different ideas about this, but the one that generally most people said was some kind of exercise period, either in the morning or at lunchtime or in the evening, some time in the day to work out, so designated exercise periods. So putting it all together, let's take the paraphrase sentence. As a consequence of getting minimal exercise, either while at work or when they're off, employed people suffer from health issues. This is because of a lack of time, and designated gym sessions could solve this problem. This is their paraphrase. This is them outlining their main arguments, their main ideas. And then we just put these two, one in blue and the one in black, together. As a consequence of getting minimal exercise, either while at work or when they are off, employed people suffer from health issues. This is because of a lack of time, and designated gym sessions could solve this problem. Simple. Not that complicated. Most of you are capable of doing that. But you will not be capable of doing it if you overcomplicate it. You just follow exactly what I said, keep it simple, and you'll be able to do something like that. So remember, paraphrase the question, outline your view on the first question, and then outline your view on the second question. So don't worry if you think this is different from other teachers. So whenever I teach this stuff to my students, there's normally about 20 or 30% that are uneasy about these systems and these strategies because they're completely different from what you will see on YouTube from other teachers or what you'll read in textbooks about IELTS. Many students watch my lessons and worry it is so different from other teachers. My advice is also different from most IELTS books and websites and YouTube channels. This is because I don't think like a teacher and I don't think like a YouTube guru. I think like a lawyer. Why do I think like a lawyer? Because I am one. This is me on my first day as a lawyer many, many years ago. I think I was 22 or 23 in this picture. All of my teaching is based on one thing, success. If my teaching was the same as everyone else, my students would not be the most successful students in the world. When I was a lawyer, it was my job to help my clients win, full stop. This was our boss. He was the managing partner. On day one, in the first meeting, he said, your job is to help clients win. My job is to help my students win. Winning meant finding the fastest, simplest, most effective solution to problems. Being a lawyer is just a problem solver. All you do all day is just solve problems for your clients. I took that approach and applied it to IELTS. So we don't try and think, copy other people or try and think of what is going to be the most popular thing, fastest, simplest, most effective solution to problems. So here is your homework task. Feel free to take a photo of this. Just take a photo with your phone. I'll give you a minute or so to do that. And don't forget, lesson 2 is tomorrow. I'll show you that in a second. I'll just leave this up for a second so people can take a photo of it. or screenshot or whatever you need to do. Leave it up for 30 more seconds. Someone says, can you share the presentation or share the slides? No, because we have a huge problem that other schools and other YouTubers steal our stuff all the time. And I don't want to give my slides to lazy teachers so that they can steal my stuff. So no, sorry about that. Okay, here are the rules for the homework task. Write it out with a pen on paper, all right? Do not post it anywhere. Do not save it anywhere. Get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, whatever you want to do, and write it out, all right? Please do not demand that we individually look at your work. There are 7,000 people watching this right now, and I think nearly 70,000 people signed up for this course, and there's one me, all right? I do not have time to individually give you feedback on your essays, but don't worry, I will give you feedback, but I'll give you feedback in a very special way. Feedback will be given at the start of lesson 2 tomorrow, all right? So you have 24 hours to write an introduction. It should take you 10 to 15 minutes. All right. So you have 24 hours to do 10 minutes of work. But you're adults, you're not children. So, I'm not going to criticize you if you don't do it. It's your future, it's your IELTS score. You can do whatever you want. So, just to summarize what we did today, we analyzed the question, showed you how to do that. We focused on idea generation, showed you how to do that and how not to do it. We showed you how to paraphrase effectively using synonyms and structure. And we showed you how to briefly answer both questions and put that in your introduction. Put it all together. All right. We will send you the replay of this, but the replay will be deleted after 48 hours. So if you want to study, if you want to look at this again, get it done. All right. We do that just to help you. We don't do that to be mean. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Let me see. I know that I said that I was going to answer questions at the end. It took a little bit longer than I thought. I'll try and answer questions now, but I can't answer all of your questions. So I'll just pick the questions that I think would help the greatest number of people. Some of you are asking, like, can I give you the homework again? After this, I'll email you the replay. And this video, because it's on YouTube, YouTube immediately puts this as a normal video. So you can just go back, right? It's not that difficult. A lot of you are asking about what about the other types of questions. So I'm teaching you for 3 days. We thought about this and we've been doing this for more than 10 years. If we showed you everything for all of the different questions, then this would be a 15-day, 2-week course, or it would be a really terrible course because we couldn't go into detail. So it's much better to pick one question type and go into a lot of detail. But the people that normally ask those questions are normally the people that don't master any of the types of questions. So, master one this week. And then if you are interested, then we do have other courses and we can help you even further after that. I know a lot of you are asking questions, but I'm just picking the ones that I think will help the greatest number of people. How can I improve my vocabulary? We're going to talk about that in lesson 3 on Thursday. How to improve problems with spelling. What you should do is when you're practicing your writing, do it on a Word document or a Google document, but turn spell check off so it doesn't show you your spelling errors. And then at the end, turn spell check on, and it will highlight all the spelling errors. And then open a new document, like call your document spelling mistakes or spelling errors or something like that, and transfer all the words that you spell incorrectly, and then put the correct versions beside that. So you should have a huge column of incorrect words and then a big column of the correct spelling. And what you will do is you will start to see patterns of like types of words that you normally spell incorrectly, and then over time you'll just get better doing that. Where can I search resource to know the synonyms of words? Google. Excuse Google. Um, Time management. How can I improve that? Thursday. So lesson two tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to focus on main body paragraphs, and then on Thursday, conclusions, time management, vocabulary, all those things. Good question. What is your opinion on practicing writing using ChatGPT? I have probably spent more time and more money, definitely more money, on researching this question than anyone else in the world. So I spent about 3 months of my life and tens of thousands of dollars researching whether ChatGPT could give effective feedback on writing. So what I did was I took thousands of essays that I knew the right score, and I fed them into ChatGPT, and then I compared that with ChatGPT scores and real examiner scores. And ChatGPT is terrible at giving feedback. Terrible. It is way off. And I'm not saying that because I'll make less money if ChatGPT is better. My idea was if ChatGPT was good enough, we would be able to give students feedback for free, which would make my life and students' lives much, much easier. Unfortunately, it does not. The reason why ChatGPT does not give good feedback is if anyone knows anything about AI, let me know in the comments if this makes sense. But ChatGPT has been trained to be generative. Generative means that it generates language. It is not trained to be evaluative, which means to look at other writing and evaluate other writing. And it's also been designed to give people and to trick people into looking at the answer and thinking that that is a good answer. It's literally been designed to do that. So if you know nothing about IELTS and you give your essay to ChatGPT, it will give you feedback. The feedback will be nonsense. But because you know nothing about IELTS, you're a student, it's not your fault. You will think that it is good. So no, don't use ChatGPT. It is useless. Um, where can I read task one sample essays? Just Google the name of our website, IELTS Advantage, and then sample essays, task one sample essays. For nearly every single question related to IELTS in the world, just go to Google, type IELTS Advantage, and then your question, your topic, and it will take you directly to um, the correct part of our website. Give some free website reference to evaluate our writing online. So think about what you're asking for. You're asking for free, which means that you want someone to give you your time, their time for free. If someone is good at their job, will they give you their time for free? No. So the cheaper the teacher for feedback, the worse the feedback is going to be. The more expensive the teacher, normally, the better the feedback is going to be. Because in any free market in the world, the more expensive the service, normally, the better the service. The cheaper the service, normally, the worse the service. If you don't believe that, then you don't really understand economics. Um, so no, you're asking the impossible doesn't exist. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is this question. You are by having this attitude of wanting everything for free, you are guaranteeing that you will spend a lot of money because the how much does the IELTS test cost in some countries? 250, 300, $400 in some. So every time you fail the test, you are paying money. But every day you are not living in Canada or Australia or America or the UK, you are losing money. Because if you could be earning $200 a day in America or Canada and you're making $20 a day where you currently are, you're losing $180 a day by wanting everything for free. So sorry if that sounds harsh, but it is true. Just looking for the next question, guys. Sorry that I have to read through lots of nonsense to get to a good question. Why are you giving us your time for free then? Very good question. I'm not. I make money from this. So, yeah. And if you think there's something wrong with making money, then I really don't know what to say to you. Like, my children need food as well. Like, you know, I need to pay bills as well. Tips for the night before the exam. Good question. Don't study IELTS. So it is quite a long day and requires a lot of energy. And if you are the night before your test, if you are studying IELTS, you're not going to sleep very well. And if you don't sleep, you won't have as much energy. And it's kind of useless because you can't learn anything the night before your test. You can't just magically suck up new vocabulary or grammar or whatever it is. So just relax. Do something that is relaxing. Again, sorry guys, I just have to wade through. Most questions just aren't that helpful for you guys. So two simple answers always work for good bands in reader's point of view. Of course, like think about when someone is reading an essay, what do they want? Do they want to be impressed with impressive ideas and big words? Or do they want to understand what you actually are writing about? So the simpler the ideas, the better. Like if I picked one of those books, like if you have an English book, like a real English, not an English textbook, but like a real non-fiction book, just open up the page and look at the words on the page and count how many complex, big, complicated words there are on that page. It's normally, less than two or three. The vast majority of the words will be simple, easy to understand words. Because if you were to try and publish a book that nobody could understand the book, then it wouldn't get published. The publishers wouldn't publish it unless it's some like really, really, really dense academic, esoteric book. But most books are not. Is reading a lot of essay examples can make me write better? No. So two things. The first is imagine if it was true. Imagine yes, it did help you. Then you would need to find good essay samples. The vast majority of the essay samples online are terrible. They're not, even though they say band 9 and stuff like that, they're not really band 9. So if you're reading nonsense, you're going to produce nonsense. Rubbish in, rubbish out. That's if it were actually true. But it's not actually true. So even if you had 1,000 perfect band 9 sample essays and you read them all, you would not get better at writing. Like during the World Cup last winter in Qatar, billions of people watched the best football players in the world every day. Did they get better at football? No. Like millions of people go to museums every year and look at Van Gogh paintings. Did they become better painters? You probably watch, the greatest movies of all time. You watch Spielberg and Tarantino and Scorsese movies. Are you good at directing movies? No. You cannot get better at something by watching other people who are good at that thing. You have to actually do it. So watching a little bit is okay, but the piece of the puzzle that is missing from most people is they don't actually do the thing. All right? So do the thing and you will, like, there's no books in the library about how to do push-ups because you have to do push-ups. you know um uh what is the best hook for introduction, quotes, or opinion? Don't write hooks. You don't need a hook. There are lots of teachers, YouTubers that will teach you to write hooks, but you don't need them. Don't do things that you don't need to do on test day. How can I recognize my mistakes by myself? You can't. Again, that's just a different way of saying, how can I prepare for the test for free? You cannot. You either pay for it by paying for a good teacher, or you pay for it by failing the test. So which one do you want to do? How do we think faster for good ideas? You don't try and think of good ideas, you try and think of the simplest ideas, and they are good ideas. So don't think of good ideas, try and think of the simplest idea, and that will result in good ideas very, very quickly. A lot of you are asking questions like this, like, if you're asked, I'm sorry to be harsh to this person and harsh to the people, but I would, it's kind of like, if my sons were doing something really dumb that was going to result in them hurting themselves, I wouldn't say, "Oh, you're such a good boy. Would you maybe not put your hand on the fire?" I'd say, "Don't put your hand on the fire. That's dumb." Like, and I know some of you don't like that, but it's just who I am as a person. I'm sorry. Um, a lot of you are asking questions like, should I go to IDP or the British Council? Should I write with a pen or a pencil? Should I do academic or general training? Should I do this or do that? That is like someone like fat like me saying, I want to lose weight. Should I wear Adidas shoes or Nike shoes? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I need to stop putting food in my mouth and I need to go to the gym and do exercise. The vast majority of you are asking questions like this because you don't actually want to do any real work, because real work is difficult. You don't want to do difficult things. So by asking all these silly questions like IDP or British Council, pen or a pencil, academic, or there are all these questions like how long exactly should my essay be? All the, you're really just lying to yourself so that you don't actually have to do any work. Because if you're asking all these questions, then you can just blame it on this. You can blame it on IDP. You can blame it on the British Council. That is much, 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 much easier than blaming who is the real perpetrator, the real person who lowered your score, which is you. And I know many of you don't like that, but it is true. A lot of you are deleting your deleting all go. um yeah, this person. Bye. I'm not for everyone. I know I'm not for everyone. How about idioms? Is it going to be better if we use? No, you should not use idioms in your essays at all. Okay, guys. So the vast majority of your questions are answered on our website. So what you can do, there's 5,000 people watching this. I cannot um, answer all of them. What you can do is take your question, go to Google, put in IELTS Advantage, and put your question in. And I guarantee it will either take you to a video of me giving you the answer or an article that I wrote giving you the answer. That's just going to save you a huge amount of time, and you will get a much better response from me, not a why did you ask a silly question response. And again, guys, I'm really, really sorry if I come across um, as harsh or uncaring or something like that. But the reason why I am like that is because I'm not here to help the people that are not serious. I'm here to help the people that are serious about moving to a new country, that are serious about getting the score that they need, serious about um, improving their lives. I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you nice things to keep the unserious people happy. Sorry about that, but that's just who I am as a person. Um, and that's what gets results. You know, I have more success stories than any other IELTS teacher on the planet. What I say probably works, but if you don't like it, that's fine. There are lots of other teachers who will tell you nice things. Um, don't forget to do your homework, but you're an adult, so you can do your homework if you want. If you don't want to do it, you know, I have a 9-year-old at home. I tell him to do his homework and he has to do it. You're adults. You don't have to do it. But if you do your homework, you will get feedback in lesson 2 and it will really, really help your score. So you'll get feedback in lesson 2. Join me at 11 a.m. for lesson 2. If you go to, let me see. I'll go to I'll post it here in the chat. So in the chat, I just posted the link to lesson 2. Go to lesson 2, click notifications, and then YouTube will notify you when we go live. But I'll also email you. I'll send you an email 15 minutes before tomorrow so that you get that. Tomorrow, we're going to focus on writing main body paragraphs. Thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure. I think this is the more people viewed this live IELTS lesson than anyone has ever watched, and I think is the biggest IELTS lesson ever. So thank you very much for being part of history. I think that's true. I'm not sure, but probably is. It's amazing to teach thousands of you from my little house in Ireland. Thank you so much for all your questions. Sorry I couldn't answer all of your questions. If I didn't, use that little trick that I gave you, and that will really help you. Thanks very much, guys, and I look forward to giving you feedback on your introductions tomorrow and teaching you tomorrow. Thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.